All right, so I'm gonna be a little bit kind of like him, not as much tech. This is probably the only tech thing I'm gonna show. This is our biomechanics lab data. So I'm gonna talk about loading pattern and timing, what that actually means. Like he said, the moves that a person makes is what allows them the time. When you start to either take away things or add things, you will affect how somebody actually times up the ball to get ready to hit. So you hear a lot of times hitters that are streaky, hey coach, you know, when she gets timed up, like she can really hit. To me, those are people that are, which we'll go over a little bit later, that are gonna be quad dominant, that are gonna be pushing out of their leg, swinging down and at the ball. That's gonna cause timing issues. And it only affects really against the higher level pitching. So if they're a better athlete, mid 50s, no secondary, one side of the plate, doesn't matter. They're gonna hit. When all of a sudden it becomes mid 60s, maybe up and down, change, that person starts to have timing issues. Still may be a really great athlete, but is gonna have a tough time timing up the ball. All right, so this is freshman last year, Riley Grunberg. So the top video, shifting the swing versus loading the glute hamstring. So as you can see at the top one, back knee flexes. She luckily to hit this ball that she does. And in the bottom video, if you can tell, you're gonna see how she's able to create stiffness around the backside. So top video, shifting the swing. Loading the quad, loading the front side of my body, shifting or pushing out of the leg. So shifting, if I were to stand here, okay? So shifting would be, some people call it all back, all forward. So my center of mass, the center of my body shifts over my back leg, and then in turn, it has to shift towards the pitcher before I can ever start to swing the bat. That's not what you want to have happen. Those are gonna be the kids that have severe issues timing up the ball. Let me get this to play again. Let's play again. Usually those kids are in between velocity and changeups. So you have a kid, hey, gotta wait back. Yes, sir, coach. All right, so I wait back, and then I get gas thrown by me. Then you say to that kid, hey, you gotta be ready to hit. Okay, coach, well, which one is it? Now I'm in between on both styles. The bottom one, being able to load the glute and hamstring, being able to create stiffness through the body the correct way, being able to time, not being able to swing when you want to, not swing when you have to. Okay, so how do we correct? That's one of the things we ask. So severe quad loader, severe shifter. So this is weight room stuff right here. So this is a flex pad. You put it on her back foot. She's stepping back right here because at this time, this was part of her swing. The PVC pipe's on her shoulder just so she can feel the shoulders sloping a little bit. When she gets to move forward, you'll see as we get towards the second half of the video. So what we're trying to do is we're going from a stable surface, which is the ground in the weight room, to a maxi pad that's a little bit unstable. So we're going from stable to unstable. So as you can see, as soon as she steps back, the leg wants to rock a little bit, and she's got to immediately be able to get into the glute and the hamstring to be able to stabilize herself. So we'll get to the second part here. She's going to start moving forward in a minute. I think it's this one right here. So as you see, as she moves forward and able to create stiffness or separation between the hips and shoulders, able to get to this position right here. Then we'll move on to the second video. So in the second video, instead of the PVC pipe, we've got the band. So what you want to have, we don't want the band to yank her backwards, but for her just to be able to feel getting to the spot. Take the pad this time, put it underneath her toe, so her foot's off the ground. So she's got to really feel being able to create tension up through the back of the leg, through the calf, into the hamstring. If you can see when she hits the ground, her front foot hits the ground, the body immediately stiffens up. So what you're trying to do with this is try to feel her getting to that stiff spot. So that would be an example of how you could start to repattern someone that's a severe quad loader. All right, so Haley, I'll let you guys watch this video and I'll explain it to you. All right, so this is Haley. Haley was my second baseman. Her first year with me, she hit like a $184, one extra base hit. It was really bad. But Haley comes in and says, as Lincoln said, talk about ownership. Haley comes in and says, Coach Carlton, as a senior, I want to be an all-conference player. So, okay, Haley. So this is what you have to do. So Haley, severe quad loader, shift to swing, as you'll see as the video plays on, shift swings down the ball. So Haley actually had a physiological issue. So Haley is left-handed. Haley has really tight dorsiflexion on her right side. So when Haley would start to move forward, Haley would come up onto the ball of her foot, and everything would shift forward and contact would be extremely far out in front. Well, it's really hard to time like that and get anything consistent. So for Haley, her making her swing changes were not so much of me going down in the cage and banging out balls, but I simply had to release some tension in my leg. So if you understand the body, the sling system, well, if I'm left-handed, it wraps up around the back side and connects on this side. So if my right ankle is tight and I'm left-handed, there's only so far forward I can move before I start to feel pressure. Well, the body's gonna relax itself. It doesn't wanna feel pressure, so if I come up onto my toe, I immediately get rid of that pressure. That's why when you're starting to teach somebody how to squat, most of the time when they go down and it's time to come up out of the hole and they can't, they will shift forward to their toes because then I can push. Well, when you swing, you don't want to push off of the toes. I want the leg to get pulled, not pushed. So that's why Haley would push out of the leg. We get that fixed, get that corrected. That was about a 3-week plan in the weight room. She goes in, gets that corrected. All of a sudden, she can now stay in a hinge better. When she lands, she can stay in posture. There's none of this pushing up out of the leg. Able to back the ball up a little bit better, start getting better swings off. This video gives me a lot of joy because of the changes that Haley made, but also a little sad. Haley started out, after making the changes, really excited for her to go through last year. She started out opening conference weekend with a 4-hit weekend, and then the next weekend she blew out her Achilles. So she's out for the rest of the year. But you can watch this. Again, this gives me great joy being able to watch Haley do what she did. As you can see in this video, this is clearly pushing out of the leg. Look how far forward your body's jumping. And then we get to the good stuff. So we built some rhythm. She's got a little bit of a circular motion of the hands just because she was so stiff to start off with. So we just tried to add in some rhythm. She ends up, you'll see in the last 2 videos, she starts like tapping her feet both at the same time, whatever. Unfortunate, but it's part of the game. All right, so moving on, taking and swinging. So now Haley's in a better position to be able to get the swing off. So now the take and the swing look almost identical. So to me, a hitter should never really think about ever actually swinging because they're always in swing mode, but I just shut it down when the ball doesn't show up in the area that I'm looking for. But if I'm moving, I gotta be moving correctly in order to be able to pull this off. If I have to get myself ready, okay, now see, then I have to make the decision to swing, the ball's gonna be past the hitting zone more often than not. Okay, so this is a good one here. So this is Bailey. If you follow me on social media, the last couple of years, you've seen plenty of posts about her. This is a swing change video for her, so a quick backstory on Bailey. Bailey was a good hitter before I showed up. It was 297 with 11 the year before I got there. So it was already a good player. We came in, the first day I'm watching batting practice, I'm just like, I just need one kid. If I need one kid, because I came in January 2 years ago, they were already practicing. I just need one kid that's able to do it. So Bailey comes in. It was really, as you'll see the first like 2 videos, it was really ugly. But if the ball was up in the zone, she could hit it a mile. Couldn't hit anything else, but if it was elevated, I'm talking about neck high, she'd hit it a mile. And there's a reason for that, but she hit it a mile. So she comes in. I tell her, I says, Bailey, I says, you don't know me and I don't know you. I said, but if you can get what I'm asking you to do and you get off to a good start, you'll hit 19. You'll hit 20. She looks at me and says, Coach Carlton, I ain't never hit that many before. I said, I don't care what you did before I got here. I'm just telling you, if you can get what I can ask you, you'll hit 20. So you'll see that this video's in. The first day, I didn't let them take BP outside for the first 2 weeks. I didn't take BP outside to the first week of the game because everybody was hitting balls straight up in the air and they swore they were all pop-ups. The video's in here. She comes out the first day, we hit BP outside. She hits 4 in a row. She hits 2 off the building, which you'll see the building, the dorm room behind the field, and 2 in the right center. She comes off the field. She's kind of looking at me. Doesn't say anything. I was like, hey, how'd I feel? I was okay. Doesn't say anything. And so later that night, she texts me. She goes, Coach Carlton, you know, I've never hit balls like that before. I was like, I told you what was going to happen. This was about 8 days. I said, I told you what was going to happen. She goes, okay, Coach, I'm all in. What do I need to do? I said, meet me at the cage tomorrow. So when we really started to get into it a little bit, she started off the opening weekend. She hit 7, ends up hitting 19 that year, followed up with this year it was 11 and 11. So this is Bailey's video. As you can see, the upper body's trying to start to tip the bat because she presets her hip a little bit, but right now it's still crude. It was very, very crude earlier, and you'll see it'll start to get even more and more fluid.
Well hit ball to right field, and UTSA has taken a 3-1 lead.
Pretty good changes. And truth be known, the only thing that I told her to do, day 1, I said, I want you to cross your feet. I want you to cross your feet. I want you to get your back hip to move your leg forward, and I want you to figure out how to time with the ball. So it started. So she has some tightness in her lower back, so she had to preset. So if I preset my hip, I can't just stand here, I'll be stiff. So the balancing move had to come from her upper body, which as you see, she has kind of a barrel tip, but that was the way that she would tell her body it was time to go. So when we started with the feet cross, she would start here, and the balancing move to get the leg to start to move would be to start to tip the bat. That's where that came from. So this is changeup versus velocity. So this will give you a little bit of an idea of how to time. These are starting at the same time. As you can see against the top one, it's almost like she hangs and reads it in the air, and then the swing comes. The bottom one is just continuing all in one motion. That's kind of what you start to see when players are moving well. They don't have to think about like what their body's physically doing. It just moves in that way. And now my eyes and brain are all they're focusing on is what's coming at me and how do I make the adjustment. So again, last video on her. So Lincoln talked about trying to get the A swing off more. All changing up her moves did was allow her to get the A swing off. So 2 years before I got there, 28 extra base hits, 310 at bats, or 11.7 ABs per extra base hit. So that equals about an extra base hit a series. If she hit near the top of the lineup, you play 3 games, say you get 4 at bats, she gets 12 at bats per series. Basically, that's 1 damage swing. You go from 1 damage swing a series to almost 2 damage swings a series. That's just the idea of we're trying to get the A swing off as much as possible. All right, so this is one from this year. I talked with Malvo about this one. This is Hattie Moore. So everybody, if you saw the video on Hattie Moore on the left, 174 with 1, on the right, 310 with 10. If you notice on Hattie, watch the back knee and back foot interact with the ground on either one. So if you can see kind of how the back knee falls towards the plate, kind of pushing forward out of the leg, bat's kind of working directly towards the ball. You look at this one, watch the difference between the back foot and back knee interaction. If you can watch the back foot from the very beginning, you're going to see it get pulled. Watch the toe get turned away. The knee will turn away from the body. That's what happens when when the hip pulls the leg into launch. When the hip pushes, you get what you see on the left. All right, so Vanessa with blast. Everybody knows who Vanessa is. So Vanessa played LSU. These are her numbers on the left. As you can see, straight up and down, no hinge. It's kind of so I'll stand this way. So I kind of stand really tall. I'm just going to go, kind of swing at the ball. But really good numbers. She goes to ULL with Coach Lateef. I actually talked to him a little bit about this. So this actually, the one on the left isn't that bad if she would just actually hinge. So she could start in this position, but if she would have gotten into this position before moving, she would have actually probably end up in about the same spot that she did on the right. But besides that, able to work behind the ball better on the right, and in 2008, led the country in doubles. Last one. So this is probably the most famous swing change in our game as far as pure numbers. Lexi Elkins. This is Lexi at ULL. Hard to believe that someone who's in the top 15 in the NCAA in career home runs hit no home runs as a freshman. It's hard to believe, but that is what happened. 8 extra base hits on the left. So as you can see clearly, the classic push pattern, knob down towards the ball, barrel works down and across, front foot heavy, all those things. Then we go on the right, the barrel turning around the forearm, all those things that we like to see when we look for. So that was it. I know people like a lot of the change videos. There's a lot that goes into it as far as being vulnerable, ownership, giving the players the information, letting the players explore for themselves. It's something it's easy to talk about, it's difficult to do. Not a lot of kids are willing, they've been so used to be told, do this, do that. And when it's time to go down, you say, okay, we've got to build something for yourself. It's difficult, but it's something that, as a hitting coach now with all the information out there, it's something that you've got to be able to do and help navigate your kids. Any questions? Yes.
The back dump.
The barrel dump.
Yes.
Instant supination. Oh, you mean the barrel tip?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a couple coaches around that are having the kids dump the barrel as a timing mechanism.
Okay.
If a kid naturally has it, that's just who she is. But to give it to her.
I would not give it to her in the way of, all right, I want you to tip the bat. Because you ever heard Josh Donaldson talk about it? Josh talks about, I control my bat tip with my shoulders. Okay, if you think about it, so when I hinge, I don't have a bat, but if I hinge, what's the bat will naturally do? See how it's starting to tip? But I can't do this. Because if I do this, this is an arm activated move. So if I activate my arms and then I go to swing, what am I to do? Thank you. So if I go to swing, if I tip it with my arms and I get it down here, how am I going to get it back up? Because I'm not in a hinge position. I'm standing straight up in the air. So this is about to be an arm move. So it's going to be a step forward. Then I'm going to have to try and jack the bat back up with my arms, which they're never going to do. They'll get it down here and then they'll try to swing from down there. But if it comes from a posture change, see how it comes back up? It'll come back up. But if it comes from a hand move, I had to think about it for a minute. It ain't gonna come back up. So now from this position, something else is gonna happen to try and get the power through the zone.
A question, more blast specific, but just curious, like, did you use early connection, one of our metrics? Because that technically measures that, but is that something that you lean on, or?
No, fortunately for me, we have a multi-million-dollar biomechanics lab, so I use that to help with a lot of that. Yes, with a lot of the physical things, how to help silo a player between our strength and conditioning staff and whatever. I lean a lot on our lab to help out with that. The biggest thing I would say I would use Blast for is I want to see what's happening with our game swings. I will say this, to piggyback off of what Josh said about flips and tees. I actually have kids that will be like flips and tees, bat speed will be mid-60s, all the metrics will look like you want. And as soon as we get it live or off the machine, the metrics die. And then you bring the player over and you say, hey, what happened? Oh, because Carlos, I was trying to make sure my stuff is right. Well, the player's gotten internal. So instead of my skills being concentrated on what's about to happen with the pitcher, I, in turn, while the pitcher is like trying to get her a pitch, I'm thinking about, I got to do this with my swing. You ain't gonna hit. That's not time to be thinking. It's time to be competing. But I would have never known that without that on. I would just been like, well, what's your problem today? What's going on? Why are we not? Instead of it's like, oh, you're getting internal. So for some kids, I'll plug up the sensor and I'll immediately see a dip in the metric. It's like, you're getting internal. I've got about 3 kids like that. You're getting internal. Get external, external. Concentrate on stuff outside. Okay, and then they'll go back up. So I kind of use it, not so much some to tell me what's going on, but some to tell me when a kid's thinking about what they're trying to do too fast.